Hello, leader. Do you consider yourself a trusted partner and key advisor for your clients? Today's guest is considered to be exactly that. She is a former Leadership Lab client who is now a one-to-one client. She's also a warm and whip-smart attorney who built a firm that serves many clients that we would describe as celebrities. But you don't have to be a celebrity online business owner to get the right level of legal support so that you do things properly. I mean, come on. You want to build a long-term viable business where your integrity is applauded, not questioned. And you know it's true. There are simply too many icky online businesses out there today, and you've likely been duped at least once. So here's your chance to do things right. Protect yourself and your team. You'll also get some straight talk about trademarks and intellectual property protection. Do you need it? When do you need it? Or is it all just hype and vanity? Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast. If you are a woman who owns a small business and you'd like to learn how to lead your team so they don't need you to hold their hand, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Shelley Warren. I've led winning teams in retail, innovative technical teams at a Fortune 50 corporation, and coached many remote teams to win at work. And in case you're wondering, no one escapes team troubles, including me. You already know that the people side of running your business can be tough. I'm here to help. So let's jump into today's episode with a little reminder that the team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. Autumn Witt Boyd is an experienced and relatable lawyer who helps million-dollar coaches and online educators reach their big goals. Together with her team at the AWB firm, Autumn guides online businesses as they grow. Her client list includes Amy Porterfield, Shailene Johnson, Corrine Crabtree, Jasmine Starr, and many more. She provides special expertise in copyright and trademark issues, and her ever-growing team of 10 offers full-service legal support. Her recent weekly live servings of Answers with Autumn on Instagram dives into hot topics that can keep you up at night as an online business owner. She's leveling the playing field by showing up to offer clarity and a heavy dose of reality so that you can stop overthinking and overspending on legal advice and poor decision-making. Autumn lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee with her husband Dave, twin boys Sam and Tyson, and her daughter Vivian. I can't wait for you to meet her. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, Autumn.
Hi, Shelley. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you here because I love what you do. And we had a chance to meet together in person down in Nashville at our recent Leadership Lab retreat. And I became even more enamored with you, just being around you. And an inside little scoop secret here, the hot pink outfit that you wore on day one inspired me. And I recently bought myself a pair of hot pink dress pants. And I'm searching for the right blouse to go along with it so I can channel you.
I love it. Well, that is my favorite and my signature color. So I love to spread the hot pink vibes.
Well, it looks incredible on you. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off exactly as fabulous as you did, but I definitely was standing in one of my favorite boutiques and I saw these hot pink pants and I thought, oh my gosh, these are very similar to the ones Autumn had on. I'm getting them. And then of course I bought the exact same slacks in black too. But yeah, so I will definitely tag you and give all the inspo credit to you. I'm having some new branding photos taken, so I'll make sure I wear them in one of the shots. And
you will see. We just had some new branding photos done, and I wore them.
Good.
Shoot. So
good. We got to do whatever it takes to make us feel great, and I love being inspired by other incredible women like you. So your hot pink outfit that you wore in Nashville at our retreat did not go unnoticed, Autumn.
Well, thank you.
Now, you spent 10 years of your career in a courtroom working for a big law firm. Was there a specific circumstance or an event where you thought, yeah, peace out, I'm going to go and launch my own law firm?
I would say it was more 100 like microaggressions that then led up to one big kind of blow up. I was, worked for a judge, worked in several different law firms. And the last law firm I worked for was my dream job. It was doing copyright work, which was what I had always wanted to do. It was a telecommute job. So when I had young children, it was really flexible. It checked a lot of the boxes, and it was, I was flying around the country to New York City and other, amazing places. But it was also often 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week. So even, working from home in your yoga pants is still terrible at 2 a.m.
It really is. There's nothing fabulous or luxurious about that.
Yeah. I also didn't have a lot of support at that law firm. So I was, collating copies at, 2 a.m. again before a big trip. So I had twin boys in 2011. And as they were getting older, when they were babies, I could kind of just swing it. Like I would go back to work after they went to bed. But as they got older, they were starting to notice more that I was gone. And my husband is amazing, and we very much have a mutual parenting partnership, but he was not that enthused about how much I was gone. So yeah, we had to sit down, and he basically was like, I know you think you're holding it together. It's affecting the family. And he was kind of like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You can do a lot of different things, but this is not going to work. And I had been asking my last boss for more support. We need more people. We need more help. And I'd been doing that for a year, and it was just never going to happen because they were incredibly profitable with me working like a crazy person.
Well, for sure, you were a rainmaker.
Yeah. So I took some time and did a lot of thinking, a lot of looking around, and then landed on there really wasn't anything else I wanted to do. So started my own firm. I would not have said I was at all entrepreneurial. I was very much a worker bee. So I've kind of grown into being a leader, but almost 8 years later, it's still going, and I would never go back. I like to say I'm unemployable.
Yes, unemployable. That's a definite badge of honor that we like to wear now, for sure. So you had the twin boys when you launched your own firm, and now you have 10 team members and a daughter.
Yeah, we had another one.
And your husband is very entrepreneurial as well.
Yeah, he is a construction estimator. So he was already kind of just a solo consultant, but he now has, I can't even keep track. He's probably got 5 different businesses. He's just always doing new things. He gets bored. But that was a big encouragement to me because I was very nervous about starting something on my own. And he basically said, if I could do it, you can do it. And I knew I could go get another job if it didn't work out. So that was a nice safety net.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you work with some of the top names in the online industry. And I know, and you know, that they all put their pants on one leg at a time. They might be even hot pink. Who knows? But they're putting those pants on one leg at a time. So they're just like us. They're humans just like us. However, what's it like to serve people who are considered celebrities? Are there unique challenges that go along with having that type of client base?
Well, you can't fangirl. That's something I learned early on because they really want someone who's advising them to, like you said, to just treat them like a person, like a business owner, like any other client. That is one. Just some of the other kind of weird ones. We've had some issues with our clients' home addresses becoming public. That's not a normal thing that any business owner worries about. But so now that's something that we've kind of added to our initial checklist that we will just Google them and see if we can find it. And then, there are some steps we can recommend. So yeah, I'm sure there are others, but those are 2 that come to mind immediately.
Wow. I'm also very, I love the fact that that caliber of woman who has many choices as to who she works with is choosing to work with you and your team. That's got to feel so great, Autumn.
It does. And I will tell you, for many years when I was in the beginning, when I was just a solo attorney, I had the goal of working with that caliber of person. And I had a lot of fraudy feelings about whether I was ready, whether I was good enough. And it really took, frankly, building the team, not the team we have now, but maybe the team of 2 years ago even, where I felt like I could provide the level of support that I thought they deserved. Where we had, admin staff to make sure we weren't dropping balls, and a paralegal to project manage, and, other lawyers. So it wasn't all just on my shoulders if I wanted to take vacation, because at that level, they are sending us things, not necessarily every week, but pretty often. And one of the reasons they like working with us is because we're very responsive and we have a fairly quick turnaround time. Our favorite clients say they feel really supported, and that's our goal. And I felt like I couldn't do that until I had built kind of some structure to the business. And now I feel amazing. I feel like we could work with anybody in this industry and do a great job.
Yeah, because you've really built that agile team. You have specialists on your team. You're specifically looking to bring people on the team that have a specific area of mastery that you know that type of client requires. And so like that's really helped you scale. And it's, those are the type of team structures that really add an extra level of confidence for that type of client who's probably been around the block a few times with a few other people who may have sold them a story and it didn't quite end up being that high level of support that they were expecting. And so now they're disappointed and a little on guard. So when they come and they start to work with you, it's just all about being delighted and just feeling that, like you said, that's so secure and that high level support that they'll happily pay for and continue to have a wonderful relationship with you.
Yeah. I mean, that's our goal. We don't want to do just one project and never hear from you again. We really want a long-term, to be one of their key advisors to their business that they come to with new ideas. And then also when they have a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, real partnership.
Yes, exactly.
So you're serving that online business owner and you've been around the block too. I mean, come on, you've seen it all. What are some of the things that still set your hair on fire?
Oh my goodness. You mean things my clients are doing or things that I see?
Or just things that you see, because that's the thing with online business. It's so out there. Like whether the persona is real or not, it's out there. So what have you seen, as an attorney, and you watch these people trying to build an online business where they're not really thoughtfully thinking about their next step, or they're just willy-nilly throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, or seeing other substantial online business owners do things and they think, oh yeah, I can do that too. What are you seeing out there that you just go, Lord, I can't believe that just happened?
Yes. Well, so I mentioned, Shelley, I just shared this on social media and you told me that you downloaded our 2023 legal trends report. So several of the things that are in the report fit in this category. So I would say number one, this is the first thing in the report, is having a team that is a lot of contractors, but you're treating them like employees. So maybe they really should be classified as employees. I had someone running a multi-million-dollar annual revenue business come to us and had 15 contractors, not a single employee. And I was just like, we can maybe make this work legally if they're in the right states. And, the regulations are different everywhere, but we could kind of make a case for it. But do you really want to be building a $10 million business with not a single employee? It starts to look just kind of shady. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I have a lot of clients that will sit down and we will do the research and talk them through all the different tests in different states and the considerations and the culture issues. I'm not a business consultant, but a lot of what we do touches on that. And then they'll say, well, my friend who runs a similar business does it this way, or their lawyer said it was okay. And I'm just you ask 5 lawyers the same question, you're going to get 5 answers, but there are some kind of baseline things that are just not right.
And the difference with you and your team is you're looking out for them. Yes. You're literally looking out for them and wanting to set them up for a viable long-term business that doesn't have legality challenges that they're being faced with every year. Whereas some lawyers, it's more about, what's the immediate need? I'm just going to make her happy right now because this is her immediate need.
Right. I'm just going to handle what's on my desk today. Yes. No, we wrote a vision statement a couple of years ago, which is that an online business owner never makes another expensive legal mistake. So we are really incredibly proactive. And, I say all the time, this is going to cost you a little bit now. It's going to save you so much later because, an audit of all of your employees and whether they're properly classified is incredibly expensive and time consuming and draining.
Yeah. And it's a very big deal. It goes now I feel like you kind of have a red flag beside your name, right? So
exactly.
Their optics is just more there's more of an alert, about you and your business and what you're doing. And no one wants that for sure. So I love how this, the expertise that you're really guiding your clients through are everything. When I think about you and I look at what you're doing, I kind of sum it up in the sense that Autumn and her team are helping business owners do things properly. And you stand on that foundation that, yeah, there's shortcuts. Sure, there's some workarounds. Yeah, we could probably Band-Aid that together. But that's not what we do here. And so you're looking at things like literally helping people build an email list properly. Selling products, whether it's a physical product or a digital product online, properly. Doing launches properly, right? So it's all about, hey, there's enough ickiness out there. Come and work with us, and we're going to make sure that your brand is so upstanding that you're never going to have to ever worry again about being thrown in that category of those icky online business owners out there.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot. I mean, the online world, working with coaches and course creators, it's still a little bit of the wild, wild west. But they are operating in the same regulatory environment as any other business. And so I think there's not been a lot of attention paid to the online world, but that has changed since 2020. There was a ton of growth with people at home wanting to start learning things. Lots of people started online business. It's a low capital investment, but it is catching up. And so, we talk about, we want to help our clients build a profitable, sustainable business. And you cannot run a business long term. Maybe you can make some money in the short term, quickly. But you're not going to be here in 10 years if you are just doing things kind of fly by the seat of your pants, never worrying about doing things the right way.
Yeah. Now, I know two of the things that you're renowned for, you and your team. One is trademarks and the other is intellectual property. So let's dive into the trademark thing first, because coming from my background at Procter & Gamble, I mean, trademarks was everything, right?
Yes,
including colors and fonts and oh my gosh, it was a thing. And so now that I'm in the online space working with online business owners and brick and mortar business owners, I'm definitely aware of there are times when a trademark is warranted. But I love, you did a whole podcast episode, and I've also seen you do social media posts, just like reassuring people that you don't always need to have a trademark for every little thing you do. And I wonder sometimes, is it, not for everyone, but I wonder sometimes, is it a vanity goal to have?
I was about to say it is a status symbol a little bit. Yes.
Oh my gosh. To have that little trademark symbol beside your signature course or your signature program. So hit us up here, Autumn. Just take us to church on this.
Yes, this is my unpopular opinion. I'm getting out my soapbox so I can stand on it. So we are a full service law firm. So we are not just writing a contract and then we never see you again. We see what happens after you're using that contract and you're having trouble with clients, or you're getting pushback, or you're getting refund requests. So I will tell you, we do a ton of dispute resolution with our clients, helping them solve problems. You can only prevent so many. Some things people are going to people. When I think of the problems that we see the most, they are not usually with trademarks. When I see the things that keep my clients up at night, it is not usually a competitor with a similar brand who is stealing their clients. Sometimes it is. I'm not saying it never is, but maybe 1 out of 25, 1 out of 50. So I just don't think that it's the place you necessarily need to start. Does it have a place in your overall legal strategy as your business grows? Absolutely. We file a ton of trademark registrations. We do a lot of cease and desist work for our larger clients. But I think a lot of people get caught up and worried oh, well, I can't take this step because I'm not sure if I can register this trademark or da-da-da-da. And so I just hate for it to be like a stumbling block for people that they feel like they can't do other things because they're missing this one piece. So I always recommend to start with contracts. If your contracts are in order, that will take care of 90% of your legal issues. And then you can start tackling the more advanced topics. But basically what a trademark does, what the reason you would want a trademark is it gives you the ability to stop other people from using the same or a similar brand. That's it. So if you don't have the resources or the time or the energy to actually chase people down and send cease and desist letters and get into negotiations, you're opening a whole Pandora's box. It's not just, and even the initial investment is pretty significant. It's usually, we say budget $3,000 to $5,000. It's about 18 months. So I usually don't advise it unless you've got something you're really, you're going to stick with, you're making money from it. And then we'll talk about it and we'll see, does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. So do you think that there's an actual, a revenue level that your course or your program or your services hits? And then that's almost like it's definitely a red flag that says, okay, you've now graduated to the evidence that a trademark is now warranted.
Potentially. There's kind of 3 questions I always ask, and it's kind of what I mentioned. Are you making money from it? It's not just like an idea. So like, do we have proof that it works? Are you going to stick with it at least 5 years, I usually say. That's kind of the initial trademark term. And then would it feel like you're getting stabbed in the back if you saw someone else using it? Because some people have brands, but they don't really care if there's a competitor because people are coming to them for them.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a gut check. And then the last thing I'll mention, without getting too lawyery, and I should give my standard disclaimer, none of this is legal advice. This is just Shelly and me chatting. It's just information. But there is, not every brand can be registered as a trademark or protected under U.S. trademark law. There's kind of a spectrum. Over here on the most protectable end is the made up names. So like look at your phone, all those apps that have those weird made up names. Those are very protectable because they're very unique. So they only identify your brand. That's what trademark law is intended to do, is help a customer who's looking for a product or a service find what they're looking for. But in the online space, most people are not using, that's not very common. And then all the way at the other end of the spectrum is just literally the word of an object. So like clock or gardening course or things like that. Most things are somewhere in the middle, but a lot of our clients come to us asking to register a trademark for something that is what we would call descriptive. So it describes either what you're selling, so the type of course or product, or who it's for. And they can be registered, but they're hard. And they're also very common. Like how many online courses are there, like how to grow irises in your garden? I'm on a gardening kick this week, so I'm just all about thinking about flowers. So it would be very hard to enforce those rights. There's probably a lot of people using those similar words just naturally because that's how you describe what you're teaching about. And so I think the last thing I would encourage people to consider as they're listening to this, if you're thinking, do I need a trademark or not, is how distinctive is your brand? Is it something like how to grow irises in your garden? Or is it, I sometimes will use Marie Forleo's like the copy cure course. BizChicks, our friend Natalie, is another great example. Stacking your team is another good example. Like it gives you an idea of what it's about, but it doesn't say leadership training for, mid-sized businesses. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's that whole idea of, in the online world, just in the service-based business itself, in that marketplace, so many terms are used over and over and over and over again. And we have words and phrases that kind of go through cycles of being really hot, right? So then it feels like, well, jeepers, I've been calling my thing that for 5 years now, and now everyone's using that. Yeah, and guess what? That's normal. It's just normal. And so if you think you're going to trademark every word or phrase in the English language, it's just such a waste of time and energy.
Well, you're always playing whack-a-mole. I mean, you're like Procter & Gamble, who needs a whole legal department sending out cease and desist letters.
Yeah. It's something definitely to think about. But I'm really happy to hear that you've given us permission to not freak out about this until you reach a point where for sure you're into this for 5 years. It's definitely, you're selling it. Your revenues are on target. Your profits are on target.
People like it. They're buying it.
People like it.
Yes.
And you've got referrals and boomerangs. They're always coming back. So that's a time to think about it for sure. Not every new idea you have that you've got to go, even when you're experimenting, because so much in the service industry, whether you have a brick and mortar or an online business, it's all about experimentation. Do my clients and customers even want this? Yeah, for sure. Love that.
Yeah. The last caveat I will add is that when you're in that experimentation, thinking about new things, is to run a quick search and make sure no one else has already registered the trademark or is already using it, because that can cause problems later. And that's very, easy and inexpensive. Just a little protection you can do on the front end.
Yeah, I love that. So the other mastery area that you and your team have is intellectual property, which is near and dear to my heart, because I'm a content creator. So give us all the things. Like, what would be like the top 3 things as a business owner that they really need to stop and put some thought and effort to so that they can continue to have that long-term viable business?
So when we think of intellectual property, there's kind of 4 would say, legs of the stool. We've already talked about one, which is trademarks. So that's protecting your brand. Then there's copyrights, which is protecting your content. So videos, worksheets, modules, anything. It can't just be an idea. It has to be out of your brain and kind of onto paper or onto a computer document. That's all images, video, music. That's all protected by copyright. There's patents, which protects inventions. We don't do patents. There's not much of it in the online world, frankly. So, reach out to a patent lawyer if you have questions about that. And then the last one is trade secrets, which is kind of the secret sauce inside your business. What are either your processes, your client list, things that you have to keep it secret, but that would give someone else a competitive advantage if they found it out. So one thing that I would encourage everyone to do, once you're past 1 or 2 people on your team, you maybe should be working with an employment lawyer. But even if you're not, you should maybe think about using contracts with all of your team members. This varies state by state. But something that's important to think about is you can include intellectual property protections with your team. Because we see a lot of the time, it's not a stranger who's stealing your IP or who's, being a copycat. It's usually someone you've either worked with, who was on your team and had access to all of that, or sometimes it's a client or a customer who is, inside your course or inside your program and had access to all of that. So both with your team, making sure that anything they create is owned by the business and that they can't take it. We've also seen some of that where people tried to hold things hostage when they were leaving, which can be a sticky situation. And then also in your client contracts, just having protections that, you own all of it. They can't just take it and give it to a friend or use it to build something on their own.
Yeah. It's really all about just being more aware. And, it's not about, we're not trying to create business owners and female CEOs out there who are not trusting of others. It's not about, you've got to really have your own back and everything's cutthroat and you better look out for yourself. It's really more about being professional and having the professional backup systems and a little bit of rigor to make sure that things are done properly.
Yeah. And I always say, you hope you never need any of this that's in the contracts. But if something does go wrong, the first question I always ask is send me your agreement. And I look and I see, are there any leverage points? Because we very rarely go to court, but it's usually a negotiation. And you want to be able to say, well, I could take you to court because this contract is written. It says it's mine. So, it just gives you that little bit of extra protection.
So your word of the year was expand. Love that. And you now have a team of 10. And I also see you expanding your service menu. So you have an incredible online resource full chocker block full of everything an online business owner would require. Tell us about the firm now. So you've come a long way since the day you decided to leave that big firm and launch your own to where you are now. How are you feeling about the evolution of the business and just you yourself as a leader?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with a friend just yesterday and we were talking about our businesses and the evolution. And she said, as my clients have matured, my business has matured. And I feel very much the same way. I mentioned earlier, I wanted to work with an Amy Porterfield. And so I built a firm that could serve her. And now we have multiple people at her level. That feels really good. We're 4 lawyers. So we've got kind of a deep bench, including me. And I feel like we can kind of handle, almost anything that gets tossed at us other than patents and tax, which we do not touch.
Yeah. I have a similar saying. It's when the team evolves, so does the leader. And it's really about once you start, drawing a line in the sand and saying, no more mediocre team members, and you start to bring in high caliber team members, it then dawns on you, wait a minute, these people have different expectations of me, and I need to step up in order to serve them and retain them. So it's that whole idea is if you're hanging around people, you're serving the clients, you're serving your team, and your friends and family members are starting to shift as well, where you're literally evolving as a person, it's natural that you're just going to keep continuing to evolve in any role that you're focused on that day, whether you're mom, sister, community leader, or whether you're the CEO of the company. It's just going to happen for sure. So what has happened for you in terms of thinking about growing your team? So you're getting really great at building a deep bench of specialists because you've learned, oh my gosh, this type of client that we love to serve, she comes with a different level of problems that we're here to solve. So how are you thinking about selecting these individuals to come join you?
It has definitely evolved. And I would say we've had, been in business a long time, team members come and go. And so you kind of, I try and take a lesson learned from every person, whether it was a good fit, bad fit, my issue, their issue. But I think we've definitely learned something I've heard you preach, which is we are too small to train people. So I really need people, of course we'll train them on our systems and all of that, the way we do things, but I need someone who's ready to like hit the ground running when it comes to the actual client work. I don't have time to babysit or supervise. I cannot be reviewing everything. Like I am hiring people to do the work. We are a very supportive team and very collaborative. So we're always open to, giving input or helping brainstorm, but I can't do a 3-hour contract review every time, something comes in. So we have really the team we have now is highly experienced. We promoted from within recently. We just changed her title to legal team leader.
Nice.
We didn't want to call her manager. Legal team leader is her new title. Katie, who is in the team program with the Leadership Lab. And so she is a new leader. I'm a new leader still, really. I mean, they don't teach any of this stuff in law school. And I was not in a manager position or leader position in any of my prior firms. So we're kind of growing together, but she's been a great sounding board. She's not a co-owner, so it's always still a little bit different, but that has been really great. And I know she's really appreciated the resources and the community that you've created as well as she's kind of growing into managing people, leading people.
Yeah. Well, it's so helpful for any CEO to have a few trusted leadership team members surrounding her that she can create that psychological safety to have a bit of a banter back and forth about ideas. And, hey, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this, or I'm really concerned about this. You've got to have people in your daily life that you can have these conversations with, which I'm so happy to hear that Katie and the rest of your bench are really stepping up to that. And because that's what you need. We absolutely need it every stage of development and growth, not only with ourselves, but with the business. You've got to have it. So happy to hear that Katie's enjoying the program and that both of you are really feeling like collaborative in terms of growing your leadership skills. That's so great. So the one thing that I was wondering is your kids, especially the boys, right? The boys are 11 now. Have you started to see any curiosity in them about what you do?
One more than the other. The boys' names are Sam and Tyson. So Sam is just kind of a more curious kid. And so I will sometimes just tell him about things that we're working on, and he always has good follow-up questions. Or what I love is, intellectual property sometimes is in the news. And so that's kind of fun to explain to him. They watch all these YouTube videos, and they're very into like Roblox and Pokemon. And so there's this phrase that people will say like, oh, you can't use that character. That's copyright. And I'm always like, that's not actually copyright. That's trademark. So I'm always kind of trying to correct them. I'm trying to remember, something came up the other day that was like really exactly what we do. And it was funny to say, it was a perfect example. And I was like, that's what I do all day. Like, you think I just sit in meetings, but I'm really helping people with this specific issue. I can't remember if it was like a non-disclosure agreement or something, but it was just funny that it was like very specific, and I could see their eyes being like, oh, like that makes sense. So that's been kind of fun as they've gotten older.
I love hearing stories about how kids naturally and gradually starting to be more curious about what their parents do for a living. And I think the younger they can become curious and we can address those questions and give them a little taste or paint a picture as to what it is that you do, I think it just helps them be wiser people. Like, it just, instead of taking their parents for granted, it's really opening up bigger conversations and shining some light on, oh, geez, like my mom and dad kind of, well, yeah, like she's kind of a big deal. Like, she does this and she does that. And look how happy she is. And she's really good at it. Like, I am just such a champion for professional women to be able to instill in their children that mommy really likes what she's doing. And that's a good thing.
My daughter, we were talking the other day, and she said something about me having 2 jobs. And I said, well, what are my 2 jobs? She said, well, you're a lawyer and you're a mom. Those are your 2 jobs.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
I'll say a lot of times, she's a lawyer mom, or she's my lawyer mom friend.
Right.
So we talk about that.
Oh, that's so good. So what do you do for fun? I see you online. I know some of the interests that you have, but I think our listeners would like to hear more or hear other stories about what people are interested in, because it gives them permission to check that out or to just develop their own interests outside of running a business and a family.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mentioned gardening. That was one of the positive habits or interests that I took up during the pandemic. So I have these beautiful roses and all kinds of different flowers in my yard. So I love to get out there in the dirt. It's very like centering because I'm such a in my head all the time. It's very centering to just be working with my hands. So I enjoy that. I make the kids pull weeds. They don't like it, but that's life. And I like to read. I read a lot. So I read a lot just of fiction for pleasure. So if you ask my kids what are my favorite things, they'd say reading a book and relaxing.
Yeah, very nice. We all need those times to just really, get grounded again and just re-energize ourselves. So we know how you relax. So what have you got coming up in your life or in the firm that you're excited about?
Well, we're trying an experiment this summer. So I have this crazy dream. I've had it for years that as the kids got older, that we would start spending summers abroad together. Because my husband and I both are kind of location independent. Our entire business runs virtually. So I can do it from wherever. And the kids' travel was really hard when they were little. But, the littlest one is she turned 7 on Friday. So the boys are 11. So they're pretty good travelers. So this summer, we're kind of dipping our toe. We're going to Colorado for almost a month. They're going to do an overnight camp. So we'll have a little out there. So we'll have 1 week of no kids. They'll be happily having the best week of their life probably. And then we'll have a little bit of kind of family time there too. But we're going to kind of work some. I'm still trying to figure out what that's going to look like. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be a little bit of a stress test for the firm with me being a little, less accessible.
Yeah,
I'm
for
definitely much less involved in the day-to-day legal projects as our firm has grown, which is good. That's what I should be doing. And then just enjoying that time together as a family.
It's so nice to see what inspired you to start your own firm, which was flexibility, that you actually have it now.
Yeah, I think that's why when I look at friends who are still at big firms, I just think I don't know if it's spoiled or I just this is how our life works. Having 3 kids is a lot. It's a juggle for sure. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't know how I would do it if I were working for someone else. It'd be really a lot tougher than it is.
Yeah, but the thing too is you don't want to. You just don't want to. So you like what you've built, and so does your husband, and so do the kids, and yeah, it's so worthwhile. And taking that time off, I know your peers in the leadership lab are going to just be doing cartwheels for you because they get it. They get how wonderful that is on so many levels to be able to do that for yourself and for your family. And then the team, we know the team's going to step up and take care of things too because you've built that in. You have a leadership team now. And yeah, that's what it's all about for sure. So tell our listeners, where can they stay connected with you? What's your favorite place that you like to send people over to so they can learn more about what you do?
Yes. Well, the website is the hub for everything. So that's my initials, awbfirm.com. That's where you can get the legal report that I mentioned. It's right there on the front page. You can find out about our services. We also sell contract templates, which are great for an earlier business, or if you have a more advanced business and it's just something you don't feel like you need a custom legal project. And then I spend most of my time on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to connect, slide into my DMs. I'm always happy to connect. I forgot to say the other way I relax is I am a people person. So I love to be social. I love to go get a drink with a girlfriend. I have drinks tonight with one of our clients who's also a friend. So I'm always very happy to connect with people on social media.
Oh, that's so great. So I'll have all those links in the show notes as well. And I'm just happy to have you on the podcast. I want to remind everyone as well about your podcast. The Legal Roadmap is the name of your podcast. So I'll have the link in the show notes for that as well. And Autumn, it's just a delight to have you in the Leadership Lab.
Well, it has been so helpful to have your guidance, Shelley, and all the other women in there have been just wonderful.
After a year in the Leadership Lab, Autumn recently shifted over into being a one-to-one client, bringing Katie, her attorney team leader, along to each of our sessions. I've been so impressed with how much they've accomplished together to refine their team structure and leverage some of my signature tools to build a career path for the members of the AWB firm. Autumn hasn't wavered from the expertise her ideal clients want. Instead, she doubled down on it, building a team of capable people who, as she said, can hit the ground running and how I like to say are instantly billable, adding value to the business in their very first weeks. They truly become trusted partners with their clients. And you don't want to miss this. If you're set on doing things properly now to ensure you don't have worrisome legal problems in the future, I want to encourage you to connect with her and be sure to take advantage of her weekly Answers with Autumn segments on Instagram. So what about you? Are you ready to consider joining the Leadership Lab? It's my transformational small group coaching program designed to accelerate your effectiveness to lead your team really well while removing yourself from the day-to-day operations. Joining the Leadership Lab could be your very next best step to finally knowing how to lead so your team turnover settles down. People know exactly what they're being paid to do, and the results you've been wanting your team to deliver actually happens. I've got the tools, frameworks, and coaching experience to help you stop being disappointed in your team and instead start feeling great about who you hire, who you promote, and who you hand over the reins to, because they're truly capable and happy to commit to bringing your vision alive for your clients and customers. The application link is in the show notes. Apply today. I can't wait to hear more about you. Or hey, if you think you might want to be a one-to-one client like Autumn, apply for that too. I've got a few spaces right now available. Leadership can be exciting, challenging, and lonely at times. So don't go it alone. Let me help you create the team and the leadership structure that you've been craving. So until next time, remember, if you have a dream, you need a team. So let's get stacking yours today.